Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are again, Thursday afternoon, 5:30. If you're wondering where I am, I'm in my car. Not even mine, a rent-a-car. I'm in Plettenberg Bay, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to discuss the profession of veterinary physiotherapy, as I am in Plettenberg Bay at Equine Librium College, and I have the privilege this year of teaching the second years this specific subject. And so I'm here in my capacity as a lecturer and also as an examiner. But I thought I would have a wonderful view and I'd be able to show you how beautiful Plettenberg Bay is. Behind me is the cell phone tower because reception is shocking. The weather is less than delightful. And right opposite me is the ocean down the road, which I'm sure you can't see because I can't. So it doesn't really matter because we can still go ahead and I can tell you what I think it is important about this profession. So veterinary physiotherapy is now a registered profession in South Africa. And in order to be registered as a veterinary physiotherapist from now on, you need to apply for and then, if you're accepted, complete a 4-year degree in veterinary physiotherapy. A lot of the subjects have been based on the human physiotherapy degree in terms of the techniques that are taught. And so the difference is that these techniques are now applied to animals. So the anatomy will be our veterinary anatomy as opposed to human anatomy. So this process of establishing a profession actually began more than 20 years ago. And in the equine industry, physiotherapy has been applied for 2 decades, if not longer. And traditionally, many of the people that qualified as human physios then went ahead and gained skills and applied their knowledge to the equine, mostly racing industry. And there has been an ongoing discussion in South Africa and indeed in the world, I think, to recognize this as a separate profession. The South African Veterinary Council is our regulating body, and it's the body that regulates everything, every profession and every person that is involved with treating animals. So they register vets, veterinary surgeons, they register veterinary specialists, they register vet nurses, they register animal health technicians, animal welfare officers, and so on, and even laboratory technicians. And so part of their mandate is to protect animals in terms of the treatments that the animals will receive. And that means that they need to have some way of regulating the people that apply those treatments. And so the Veterinary Council recognized in terms of the context of physiotherapy that they actually needed a separate profession, and one where people who were practicing and working in that profession could actually register and be regulated. And it is important because as vets we have to do what we call continuing professional development, CPD hours. Overseas they're referred to as continuing education hours, CE hours. And it's a well-known practice in any of the professions that we have to do these hours. And so by regulating, we're also able to ensure that members of the profession then continue to educate themselves and to work. So the South African Veterinary Council then set about asking people that were practicing in the profession to form what they called a work group. And the task of the work group was to promulgate the new profession of veterinary physiotherapy. At that stage, it wasn't called veterinary physiotherapy. And so I joined that group in 2011. And just to give you a little bit of history in terms of how long this process has been in order for us to really establish a profession that is recognized and that is regulated. So it's been a long road of consultations, emails, phone calls, discussions, meetings with many interested parties and many of the role players. And I don't even know if we've reached everyone, but it's not through a lack of trying. Legal departments, South African Qualifications Authority, Department of Higher Education, Allied Health Professions Council. I mean, the list goes on. Finally, in December 2017, the Veterinary Act was amended to include a new paraveterinary profession called veterinary physiotherapy. The task of the work group, however, did not stop there, because in terms of our country's constitution, which is a really great constitution, and in terms of people that were already working in the profession and that had helped to establish the need for this profession, have to then be, because they would not have done the degree, there is a process whereby we have to recognize, so it's recognition of prior learning. And so the group then had to look at who was working in the field. We had to, with a lot of consultation and a lot of assistance, we had to ask those people to please submit their qualifications, their learning, their hours that they work, the caseloads, all sorts of things that helped set up a process whereby we could evaluate them. And the evaluation the way in which we evaluated them was to look at the degree which is now available. So there is the degree in South Africa is offered by a private college called Equilibrium College. And in order to set up a degree, which is no mean feat, you also have to work with the South African Qualifications Authority and the Department of Higher Education and probably a whole lot of other people to establish the curriculum, the day one skills, and then the rules of the profession. So all of the people that are working in the field have been asked to apply through a process to become registered under the new profession. And so that is ongoing until the end of this month. And then those that have not yet been assessed will be assessed. Those that have been assessed are now either registered with the South African Veterinary Council to practice veterinary physiotherapy, or they are authorized to practice veterinary physiotherapy or parts of the profession until such time as they're able to write the exam that the council then sets. It is likely that that examination will happen next year, 2021, and all of those people that have gone through the process will then have an opportunity to write the exam. And why is this important? It's really important because it means that all of the people from a certain time going forward will have written the exam, will have registered, if they passed, they're able to register with council, and you as the public will then be able to ask for that qualification or that authorization or that registration. So when your dog or your cat or your horse or any one of your companion animals requires veterinary physiotherapy, you can now be assured that you can find a person who has jumped through the hoops, and there have been many, to enable them to actually have a standing and a professional standing within South Africa. And so I do want to say that all of the therapists that are employed at Animal Health and Hydro are either registered or they are authorized until such time as they write the exam. And that means that their qualifications have been assessed, their hours, their experience has been looked at and has passed a certain level, which then allows them to sit the exam when that becomes available. And so this hasn't really taken me very long to discuss. Let's just look at veterinary physiotherapy as a profession. What can you expect? It is seen as that the veterinary physiotherapist becomes part of what we would call the animal health team. We all know that we work in and we live in the information age, and more information becomes available, more and more professions are being created, more and more jobs, the populations are getting bigger, and so it's not actually feasible anymore for one veterinarian to really become or be a general practitioner in terms of how they practiced maybe 40 years ago. There is too much information, and so there is a need for skills to be spread around the population. And veterinary physiotherapy is one of those. And along with vet nurses, so they are, a paraprofession is like a paramedic. They are there to support the vets in terms of the treatments that are available to our animal companions. So what can you expect? A veterinary physiotherapist is capable of all of the things of a human physiotherapist. They are well versed in electrotherapy, so that's quite broad. It's quite a broad topic, but those little machines that contract your muscles, they're used medically. Therapeutic ultrasound is used to assist with muscle tissue release and healing. Photobiomodulation, which I've spoken about, and which laser therapy falls under that, along with a lot of manual therapy, so a lot of massage and soft tissue release, a lot of joint mobilizations, anything that is going to assist your animal if it's in pain, to reduce the pain, and if it's not in pain and it has a problem, to get it back to full function. So if you think about what happens when you as a human have to visit a physiotherapist, it's usually because you've injured yourself or you've had surgery and you need to get back into function. You need to be able to do the functions of daily living. And so as surgery becomes more and more available for our animals, it is logical that a profession like physiotherapy would then also become equally available to assist with the recovery of those patients that have undergone surgery. It's not restricted to surgery, a lot of pain management. And for those of you that have followed my talks since lockdown, you will know that I've covered many aspects of physiotherapy: pain management, mobility, return to mobility, things like hydrotherapy, therapeutic exercises. They all fall into and under the profession of veterinary physiotherapy. So I'm just going to scroll quickly to see if there are any questions. None. I hope that I have managed to create a little bit of interest, and perhaps there are some questions, or maybe you'll go and research and have a look. I am in Plettenberg Bay until the 3rd week in September, and next week I thought I would interview the principal of Equine Librium College, and also because I'm quite excited to do my first Facebook Live interview. So if you've enjoyed this, I really hope that you'll tune in again next week. I hope to have a better venue, but I can't promise anything. And so thank you very much for watching, and enjoy your evening.